today, what I want to show you is some stuff that I've been doing in my sketchbooks. I have 3 main sketchbooks that I'm using right now, and they're all homemade. And these books I picked up a long time ago at a lending library. If you don't have these in your neighborhood, we have these little boxes on the side of people's houses, and they put them there so that they can kind of get rid of the books that they don't want. And a lot of us neighbors also put our old books in there. And every now and then I'll find these books that are, impossibly old, like the Nature Science Annual from 1976. Nobody's picking this up to read it because the science is now 50 years old. But the covers are awesome because they're lightweight and they're just the right size. So what I've been doing is I fill these books with the papers that I think I might like. So most of these have Canson Montball watercolor paper, and it's a smooth, so it's a hot press watercolor paper, probably 100 pounds or so. So it's not too heavyweight, and I stitch it with a Coptic binding. That way I can unfold it all the way out and it lays pretty flat. I also use these little X-Acto clips in order to keep it laying flat. So in the last month or so, I've been doing a lot of work on portraits and some landscapes and some urban scenes. And I've been using mostly acrylic. I've been using this pencil a lot. You've been seeing these things if you've been watching for a little while, but there's always a lot of people who are brand new to my channel. So yeah, I use this to stay really loose with my sketches, and it creates some really interesting opportunities. And then I've been going in with lots and lots of collage-y bits with the deli paper and some printed material. I love these. I'm taking old books again, found in little lending libraries, these impossibly old books that are usually with the broken spine and everything, and so I just take them apart and use them. So that gets me, it really helps with my work, because with collage you can quickly bring in a dark value or a light value where you think you need it and test it out and see if it works and keep moving. I feel like I'm really training my eye to see where darks and lights should go, how the composition should fan out. I'm finding that my pace of learning, I think, is a bit quicker than in the years that I was working just with watercolor and gouache, because those are transparent mediums where you need to maintain the white of the paper in order to have your lightest lights. Whereas acrylic and gouache, you buy white. And also with the papers, with the collage papers, you just stick on a piece of lighter shade of something and immediately get that response. And so I feel like I'm training my eye, training my hands in order to see the lights and darks, the values, and also the composition is getting some strong training with this. And so I thought I'd do that. I'll show you these. I'll put you overhead and I'll show you what I've been working on here. And then I thought I would work a little bit on some portraits this afternoon or today and show you the things that I'm finding, how I'm mixing the colors and how I'm getting how I lay down the paint, because sometimes you want it smooth, sometimes you want to see the brush marks. And yeah, I just want to document where I am at the moment. I have some really awesome photographs from a trip that my husband just took. He went to Uganda for a month, and he has some family photos. He's from Uganda, so they're his family photos. And yeah, some of them have some really great poses and some really great expressions, and I want to work with those, so I'm going to show you that. And I'm probably going to integrate some collage as I get stuck, because it always happens. You start out with something, you get stuck, And then what? Well, I found that one quick way out of it is to slap down some collage, and then things open up again. So you'll see what I mean a little bit further down the video. All right, I'm glad you're here. I hope you enjoy this. Happy Saturday, because it's a Saturday to me, but happy Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, because who knows when you're watching this. All right, let's put you overhead. Right. All right, so in no particular order, we're going to start, I guess, with the oldest book, 1973. And I've marked off pages where I've been working on. So I went back and revisited something that I'd sketched before. And the interesting thing that came out of this, I just remember this as being a really lovely afternoon of sticking down deli paper collage and just sort of exploring what could be under the water, under the lily pad. Before, there were other frogs that I had sketched in this area, and I just thought, let me lose those frogs and explore the colors that could be underneath here. I loved the time that I spent on this, and I could spend some more time on this, probably calming things down and lightening things up, but it was a delight to work on this again. This is a little bit of a similar situation. I was working on foxes, clearly, and then in a totally different section, I started just working on what could the foreground be in front of this fox, and what could the colors be behind the fox, and just getting into it, and really getting into what if I block out some color with a Neocolor. This is a Neocolor 2 that I use, the turquoise one, in order to reveal these colors behind in a different way. That's the attempt anyway, and I think it's quite interesting idea that could be taken into a whole new realm of painting and looking at things. And then this one, I think you've seen this before. If you've been watching me, you've definitely seen this before, but in a completely different state. In fact, I did film some of the work that I did on this, which I think I might cut to and show you, because it's quite interesting. I took a piece of collage paper and just collaged right over the color that I had here. All right, let me cut to that, and then I'll come back. Okay, here's a piece I've been working on for quite some time, and in fits and starts. And so today I did a few things of adding a bit of collage and this really interesting textured collage from taking a book that had some diagrams in it and then adding some probably burnt umber and creating these really interesting textures that I can use, and creating flat-topped trees, which is really, where did that come from? I don't know, but it's really interesting to me. I'm really in love with this thing that I do now, is I take this Lyra 9B and I mark on my paper, and then when I paint over the top with acrylic, it gives this really nice, slightly smudged out appearance. Very lovely. So I want that to be part of my barrier between the mountaintops and the sky. So good, that's in. So now when I paint over that, it'll give it a very different line. It'll kind of shine it up. Then the other thing that I've noticed is in here I used Payne's gray mixed with zinc white in the golden fluid acrylics, and I used a small brush, and that made it very energetic. And then I put the rest of the Payne's gray on a couple sheets of just paper from a book, and I'm thinking that instead of this blue that I put down previously, that water probably should be this blue. I think it plays well because it matches the color of the sky, And also it kind of plays nicely with this Naples yellow color here. That's this in the heavy body. So I'm going to try to cut out that shape somehow. Maybe I'll use some tracing paper to get the right shape and then trace it onto here. And it has a little image of a brain on there, which is awesome. And what else? What I like about this image, this is from Map Crunch, somewhere in Norway. And I like the overlapping that's going on. We have definitely a foreground, middle ground, and background situation. There might even be 4 different things: a front foreground, you know, a middle ground, a second middle ground, and then a background. But there's a lot of overlapping happening with this. There's the barn overlapping the mountains and the inland river. We can see a bit of movement in the heights of hills, and then this is overlapping our view of the outside harbor or ocean. Yeah. So now you can see that I really do have a front foreground, middle ground, background, late background. Like there's a lot of layers going on in here, and there's quite a lot of interesting things happening. I view a sketchbook as a place where I plant my ideas like seeds. And so everything in here, even though this might not be something that I would try to replicate and sell or replicate and put on my own wall, but there are ideas in here that I might take into another piece. Certainly the idea of using the graphite to create some lines and then smudging back over with some white acrylic. Wonderful. I love that. And I love some of these lines in here are, some of these colors are Neo colors. And they smudge that, they smudge the graphite as well in a really lovely way. And then the collage bits, the collagey bits, so much fun. Okay, and as you might have seen in my very last video, I still love the colors in this and the feeling, and I can just remember that crow standing up on that branch talking to me. That one's a lot of fun. Maybe I should make that one into something I can look at and have on my wall. Okay, and here, let's see what we're gonna find in here. Ah, here are some of the portraits that I've been working on. I think this image came from Emma Carlisle, and then this was a live session that was done on Emma Carlisle's Patreon, featuring Trixie. She's a model, professional model, and she was on the Zoom call modeling different poses for, you know, I think this was 5 minutes and another 5 minutes, and then maybe we had 10 or 15 minutes on these. And I believe I came back to this one. She's applying lipstick here, if you can't tell. And when I had finished it on the call, it was just this disembodied head without hair applying lipstick. And by the way, these do not represent Trixie at all. She doesn't actually look like this. I don't think it represents her, but I do love the expression in the person or the image that I have created. There's a lot that I love looking at, and the way the composition of the paper is set out. The way I have very, very dark, that's contrasting what I want you to look at, which is the very, very lights right here. I love it. I love it, even though it's sort of a grotesque version of a beautiful woman. But it started all by just using this and just really quickly and loosely sketching it in and really paying attention to the composition as a whole and not getting nitpicky about details like how big is her nose or where are her lips. I don't care. I had so much fun putting this together. This is Trixie again, but I gave her some totally new hair, and I had a lot of fun sticking this deli paper collage in and then painting over it and using a nail color over it and just kind of putting stuff down. And again, paying attention to the same, this is the same compositional technique as I used over here, as you can tell. There's the part that I want you to look at. There's the part that I want you to look at. It's just like an Easter egg, looking at that piece. So much fun. And there's more Trixie in this other book, the next book. Then this, more recently, this is an image or a piece of an image. And I started to integrate some words into the thing that I was making. So this, I took out certain things and put in certain things. And then I said, Lewis peered out onto the empty square where just one moment earlier had been children and pigeons, vendors and flowers. Curiosity mixed with fear swelled up. I think I'm going to start doing this on the pieces that I do in my watercolor or in my sketchbook, because it's like a lot of fun to make something and then to also kind of tell the story of, like, I mean, obviously he's not opening into a zombie apocalypse because that didn't actually happen, but it's so much fun to kind of think of what could have happened. And then this was just yesterday, and it's not complete, but it got started. And here's what I love about what's going on here. This is actually an image here, and then the third image here. So there's like 20 minutes on each one, and I just kind of jammed them all together. What I like is this color, and this color all combining together and having these different shapes. That's what I'm most attracted to in here. And these are just kind of special mixes that I made with some acrylic paint and slapped down. And that's just the lovely thing of acrylics, is that you can figure out your lights and darks, and you can just keep going over things. It doesn't matter if you put down something wrong, because you can just put something else over the top. Like, for instance, these are quite too bright, and I kind of love that this vendor is very, very skinny, kind of totally accentuated his body shape as I did with her body shape. I don't know if you can tell that this is a woman sitting here because I haven't done anything with the face, but it's lovely. But what I really like is the color of the sky, the color of the building, and the color of this roof. That's the best part. Okay, and then finally, it's a lot of work in 1 month. All right, this might be my most full book yet. Some crocus were blooming, and I thought I should capture them by using collage. Had a beautiful day making this, and really, really concentrating on the lights and darks and the composition. You can see the writing on the pages and the way I've gone over things with Neocolor 2s. This purple in here is like some Neocolor 2 marks, and then some acrylic paint in between in order to darken this side. So much fun. And finally, some more Trixie. This is more of that Patreon where we had the live model. And again, this doesn't represent her really in any way whatsoever, but the expressions of these and the way the composition works, for me, I love it. I love it, and I don't mind that, you know, the face doesn't represent her. That's very, very okay. I love that I have blocked in this whole area with this color, and I've just really chunked out and used up the paper the way you see kindergartners and first graders do when they are making a self-portrait, and you see it in the hallways, and then we somehow lose all of that joy and openness and looseness when we get to, you know, 5th grade, where we want to make things realistic, and we get very, very tiny and very, very tight, and we lose this kind of expressive. So I'm working back towards my kindergarten days when I could do this kind of thing, and I'm loving it. So much fun. Okay, here we are on time-lapse mode, and this is the image that I was working from. These are my husband's relatives, and I guess you can see what the draw was for me in this image. Love it. These are the colors that I was using. These are all heavy body acrylics except for that yellow in the fluid. If you want to make heavy body acrylics fluid, all you do is add some water or some of the fluid mediums that Golden comes up with. So now, as you're watching this, I'm just going to put on some music. At the very end, I'm going to wrap around and tell you the things that I learned and what I liked about the process.
Painted body, you child, taintless heart displaced, eyes and mirrors unmeant, reflecting our space. Let me feel some heart, dear. Blindness hidden in this pain. Friends will never be lost as we surrender to their games. As we surrender, taste been told, still don't we grow. Humble hands shake low. Still don't we grow. Humble hands shake low. Been on left to blame. Hindsight hides alongside shame. Friends will never be lost as we surrender to their games. As we surrender, taste been told, so don't we grow. Humble hands shake low. Still don't we grow. Humble hands shake low. Shake low. Humble hands shake low. Humble hands shake low. Humble hands shake. Taste been told, still don't we grow. Humble hands shake low. A taste been told, still don't we grow. Humble hands shake low. A taste been told, still don't we grow. Humble hands shake low. Taste been told, still don't we grow. Humble hands shake low. Still don't we grow.
Okay, to wrap up for this video, I learned so much. So I want to tell you some of the things that came up to me as I was working on these couple of portraits. First off, a good thing to recognize as an artist, as a starting artist, or even established artist already know this. Your first time to work on something is going to be your learning process. And this is definitely a learning process. The biggest thing that I learned is that I did the classic error of making this head too small. If you're going to paint a head, it's got to be bigger than your fist in order to be able to utilize your tools to get in there. If it's way too detailed, unless you're using, you know, very, very tiny detailed, I don't know, like a dip pen or something like that, then the head needs to be a lot bigger on the page. The second thing I realized is that I really wanted her arms to be in, but in order for her arms to be in with the head down this far, I had to bring them up an uncomfortably high level. And then I tried to erase it over just to see if I could salvage this into something that I liked more. So what I learned here is I move the head up so that I can get some semblance of the arms down here, which compositionally does such a great thing because we have a dark color, a light color, and another dark color sort of as the boundary of the bottom of the page. And then another very purposeful thing that I did is because her skin tone is dark, I made it very light right on the edge, right where I want you to be looking. I made a very high contrast change. Now, something that I also noticed is that the more, and you might have seen this as I was going through the fast time lapse, the more pupil that shows, the less alarmed my person looks. So the more white in the eye, the more alarmed something looks. So as I start to cut back on this, she starts to look more relaxed. Isn't that interesting? This I'm using just the Caran d'Ache Luminance, but when I really need to cover something up, I'm using the Pitt Oil Base soft pencil. This will go over the acrylic paint really well. What else can I tell you about this? The other thing that you might have seen in time lapse, or you might have noticed, is that I decided that we needed to have a light color down here. That was mostly a compositional thing. I wanted you to see the edge of her sleeve, and I wanted to bring that light color out to the edge of the page. I need to use these now when they dry. They're not quite dry, in order to extend her elegant gown down this way. I love this painting. This is the kind of work I would love to be doing every day. If I could produce something like this every time I sit down, you wouldn't get me away from my art desk ever, because I love it. I just love it. Now, the both of them, this is done as you saw after the first two. So I had a lot of knowledge coming in on her. And I think in the same way as I made her look more friendly by reducing the white of her eyes, I could just do that even more in here. And then the difficulty, or maybe one of the decisions that I made here, is that they're actually seated closer together, but that would put his head in the gutter, and I didn't want to work on it that way. So I moved them a little bit aside. So they're not relating as they are in the photograph. So if I just had a page that wasn't in a sketchbook, I would move them back together so that they have that closeness. I made him a tad darker than her, even though their skin tones in real life are actually quite similar. But I wanted to play with this, like, a really dark skin tone to see how I can find differentiation. Like, can you tell where his eyebrows are? Can you see his nose? Can we understand where his hair starts and where his skin starts? It's barely perceptible. And even down in here, you can see how there's like you can see it, I think, but it's very, very close. I think that's very interesting. I think the thing that drew me to the photograph in the first place is she's wearing this very light colored dress, and he has a dark sweater on, and so the contrast, and of course, you know, he knows fashion, I suppose, because he has this kind of pink colored collared shirt underneath, so it really accentuates his skin tone very nicely to have this dark, light, dark, and the shapes in between. Yeah, I'm very pleased with this one as well. I think I'll keep going. I have a few more pictures, of lots and lots of more pictures that my husband took in Uganda of family members, and I think I would like to bring them all out to life and explore some more. But of course, this video has to stop at some point so that I can publish it. Thanks for coming out today. Thanks for watching until now. And I will see you again when inspiration strikes.